Okay, back to the snow blower video. Didn't finish it up. Got the new connecting rod and put it in. Finally got the right one. Same part number. I don't know why the other one was a different size. And I went to install the piston and I broke the oil ring. It's a one-piece oil ring, and I forced it in too hard. I don't know when's the last time I ever broke a ring, but I broke a ring. It's a lot easier with the 3 individual piece rings because you can just push one at a time in. The one piece ring is pretty brittle and thick, and I broke it. My bad. So I had to order a new set. It was 16 bucks, and it just came in yesterday. So I'm just putting this in now. Really tricky to get this in. I was looking for. I don't have a ring compression tool, but what you can use is a hose clamp and a piece of sheet metal between the hose clamp and the piston rings. Like even a pop can, aluminum pop can, you can cut it out and make a ring out of it. A nice thin piece of sheet metal works better though. Then you wrap that around, then your clamp, and then you can feed this in. I've got a couple clamps here, not quite, some bigger than 3" and some smaller than 3", so it didn't work. So I got the pistons in. I'm going to put the rod and all that stuff in right now. Okay, push this back a little bit. This is engine assembly loom. It's got a little bit of moly graphite in it, and works really good. Just going to put a little bit inside that bearing shell, the rod, a little bit in the case, pushing, a little bit on the bearing shell here. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on the journals. That's bottomed out, so need to get this up higher. The rod floats on that pin, so it drops down. So you got to kind of get it up to get it over to that journal there. Try that. Right there. There we go. Okay. Try to kind of pull the rod down at the same time. There, like that. The rod cap is a little different on each side. You can see here that the bearing surface goes all the way to the bottom here. This side it doesn't. There's a little tab here at the bottom. There's a little tab there at the bottom of the rod. That's where that goes. So the two little tabs line up. And the bottom bolt has the oil splasher on it here. See, there's a lot of these snow machines that go through rods. When you buy the rod, it comes with a little assembly kit here with directions. It shows you here to line those tabs up. The torque is 200 to 220 inch-pounds. I don't have an inch-pound torque wrench. Mine's foot-pounds. So you just divide that by 12. So 12 12 is 244, so it's going to be around well, 10 would be 120, 240, so probably around 18. I'll have to divide that out. Can't think about that in my head. Okay, turn this down to there. Yeah, 220 by 12. 240 divided by 12 would be 240 divided by 12 would be 20 foot-pounds. Well, it's a little less than that. 18, about 18 foot-pounds. $18 foot-pounds, so 20 foot-pounds would be 240. Take 24 off that, should be, yeah, about 18. Okay, I'm going to put the camshaft back in and the followers. I forgot to mark those followers when I took them out, but you can always tell which one's the intake side. Let's double check here. There's you can see the wear marks. See the circle there on the intake valve? That's from it hitting this decompression on startup here. The exhaust side doesn't have that. So I put a little assembly lube on these followers, cam followers. Another one here. There. Now when you put the camshaft back in, there's a timing mark right beside this hole here. You can see it here. And there's going to be a matching one on the crank. Here somewhere. Oh, I passed it. Right here. So this one's right on the tooth. This one's right between the teeth. So I'm going to put a little bit of a assembly lube on there. A little bit on the lobes. A little assembly lube everywhere. Try to get these marks lined up. You got to kind of Oh, a little there, I think. Missed a tooth. There we go. 2 marks line up right here. Okay, I'm going to clean up the gasket surfaces and goop that up, put it back together. Just going back reverse, put that cover on. I had to put this pulley back on and just give the crank a little turn for it to drop down. That aligns the gears up with the cam and everything, and the centrifugal governor. So I believe the spacer goes on first. Nope, I gotta go check that. Spacer on first. And pulley. And then pulley. No, not.
Reassembling and can't slow down. Oh, isn't that the theme of the day? Today's best music, 99.95. It's 12:23. I'm ready. We've got everything that we carried out in just a few minutes. And right now, our forecast is for American Ford Indian at Confederation. Oops, my phone's falling off. You like them. Anyway,
I'll torque that a little bit.
right now, it looks like drizzle is happening.
Get these cover bolts on.
Through the afternoon. And for tonight,
Just putting the cover back on with the primer bulb hose. You see the fuel line right in here? The primer hose goes underneath that, not on top. Plugs back into here. Oh, doggy. You get 2 governor connections here. One to the carburetor. It's a little bit smaller gauge wire, and it's on the inside. That goes to the carburetor. The thicker one is the longer one, and it goes over to the governor. And you'll see where it goes in there. The second hole down on that little fork there. Then there's 2 Phillips screws that go back in here and hold it on. Okay, got it back together. Everything's just basically reverse of how I took it apart. I actually had to use it myself. There's a tensioner on this side of the first pulley. I took that off. It was just easier to get the belt lined up, then put it back on. So the spring crosses from here over to this pulley plate here. Turn the light on. A little better. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Just reversed the first video. I haven't fired it up yet. I'm gonna take it outside here right now. Hope she fires up. Just got some fresh snowfall. See that in there? Maybe not. Turn it down. Yeah. Turn the fuel on. Primer it. Throttle's on, chokes that way. Keys in. I know she's bone dry, so. Alright, let's see what that does. That arm. Always something. Started on the last pull, but the recoil rope broke. I'm gonna go try it out. Seems to be running pretty good now. Just gotta fix the recoil.